Welcome back to the Awesome Show. I'm your host, Toomey Anderson. To my right, the staple director of operations, Tom Mosier. And to my left, the senior columnist, Brad Huebner. Brad, what you got going on there? You represent my man over there, man. South Carolina, the Gamecocks. What's going on with that?
They beat Kentucky, and I thought they were getting Zion Williamson, but they didn't get Williamson.
Did not get Zion. Zion's going to Duke. The rich get richer over at Duke. Top 3 players in the country. Starting with, of course, Cam Reddish. We'll talk about Cam Reddish, though, later. Not right now, though. Right now, we're talking Lehigh Valley hoops. Before we get into the hoops, let's check you out to these highlights.
Always watching.
Always watching. Back here at the Awesome Show. All right, I'm your host, Toomey Anderson. We're going to go through here the top 10 teams in Lehigh Valley. We'll start first at number 10, Emmaus. Emmaus off a fresh victory over Nazareth. Tom, your boys over Nazareth. What's going on over there at Nazareth? Taking some L's lately.
They are taking some L's up and down, just like everybody else, Toomey. We'll get into that in a little bit, but Emmaus, Coach Yoder has to be happy that the big man's back. Zach Sable came back to action last night against the rival Trojans. They took an L, got swept by the Trojans.
Who did you lose to?
Parkland, I believe.
Parkland.
They're local school. Have some modicum of recent success, so big win tonight for Coach Yoder and Emmaus to get back over 500 as they try and chase down some playoff berths.
All right, Emmaus in at number 10, moving up at number 9. The mighty Parkland Trojans had some solid victories. Lost to Scranton Prep over the weekend, but sandwiched in between that, they had a victory. Who they beat?
Nazareth Friday.
Nazareth, all right, had a great victory over Nazareth. So the Trojans are steadily rising. I like the sophomores coming up there with the Trojans, all right. Milady's starting to play real well. We got my man Jared
Kaharchik.
Jared.
Or that.
That works too, all right. Those guys are playing. The guys are playing with Nick Rapper stepping into the lineup right now. Bartholomew shooting well. Rindock. Those Trojans, Tom. You know how I feel about those Trojans, Tom. Brad, you know how I feel about those Trojans. You were a former part of the Trojans.
I was part of it. I loved it.
You know how I feel about those Trojans. Those Trojans, we're coming, baby. We're coming hard, coming strong, coming hard. Number 9. Number 8, the Eastern Red Rovers. They're on a little bit of a downslide, but we'll see how things pick up this week. At 7, East Stroudsburg South. Some interesting news coming out of East Stroudsburg South there, Tom. I'm going to kick this back to you. Obviously, Jeremiah Anderson has been having a sensational season now. You're averaging about 20 points a game straight out of Brooklyn. But originally he was thought to be a sophomore, but apparently just been looking into his transcripts a little bit deeper, and he's going to be a junior, apparently.
Well, as you know, too, one of my favorite players. I saw him first game of the year, and he had a breakout performance against Dariff. You never know what's going on with those transcripts. Unless it's a Lehigh Valley to Lehigh Valley transfer, and the kid's been growing up here, then you know what's going on.
Lehigh Valley bubble, man. Everything's perfect here in the little Lehigh Valley world. When you do everything perfect. When you go outside, you go to Brooklyn, you go to Philly, you go somewhere else. There they go. They're messing everything up.
All I know is there always seem to be grade issues when they come from out of town. So I don't know if it's the bubble issue or whatever, whose fault it is. But unfortunately, we only get another year and a half of Mr. Anderson. But East Stroudsburg South, they're still fighting for a top spot in the league playoffs.
They definitely are. Had a tough game against Pocono Mountain West this week as well. It's an overtime game. Great shot there. Send it to overtime. But Pocono Mountain West with the stellar play of Josiah Burns. We'll come up to them later. All right. Allen, Brad, at number 6 there. The Canaries, they're steadily, they've had some good wins, have a loss here, some good wins. But I'm really impressed with Josiah Lopez. What's impressing you about Allen?
Well, I think it's what all these teams are facing. They're all young. They're all inexperienced. Who is going to develop faster? Who is going to mesh in time for the postseason? And Allen's one of those teams. They're as good as anybody. On a good night, they can beat anybody, and I think that you could say that about Emmaus when they're hot. You could say that about Parkland.
We can always.
Toom does say that about Parkland.
We can always say that about the Trojans. Just make that clear.
Nazareth, same thing. So Allen's a team nobody's going to want to play down the stretch here, and Doug's going to have them ready.
I agree with you. I fully agree with you. The Allen Canaries checking in at number 6. Allen had a strong victory over Freedom. I know they got a game at Sunday night, taking on the Hoop Group, taking on Liberty. So we'll keep checking on Allen. At number 5, Pocono Mountain West. West is coming on real strong here, Tom, all right? Lee Mosley, 6'4", man, we won't stretch it. 6'4", just a complete monster on the boards, a strong physical wing player. He's coming along real strong right now.
I saw West Friday against Freedom. They just have men. Heebs just said a lot of young teams, and they did graduate. Remember those 3,000-point scores from last year? But Mosley and Elmore are returning guys with a lot of experience. Those guys are just beasts. They're men. They go after their after missed shots like it's food. I mean, that's their best offense, a missed shot, because they just go clean up the glass. They killed Freedom on the offensive glass. I really like that team.
They killed who on the glass?
Freedom. Undersized Freedom.
What's Freedom's biggest kid?
Undersized Freedom.
I'm just asking. What's Freedom's biggest guy?
6'1", 6'2". Fair. Fair.
Just a little. No shot. I'm not throwing no shots.
Good,
just making a statement.
Good counterpoint. It's valid.
Hey, like I said, Josiah Burns, Tom, I really liked how he's picking up his game there, Brad. As a guard, really watched him. And our number 4 team checking in, Central Catholic. The Vikings had a little injury bug right now, Brad.
Yeah, they lost Kyle Kern, and then they lost Kratzer this week. So there's a team early in the year. It was Becca, and it was Central, and it was everybody else, and there was a clear 1 and 2. And then all of a sudden, the last 2 weeks, everything has changed. And I think some of these young teams are catching them, and some of these established former unbeatens are breaking apart. Becca tonight barely got by Freedom on the road.
Spoiler alert. Hang on the Becca talk. We're on Central Catholic, Brad.
But I think what we're seeing here this week is some of these young teams are ready and stepping up, and there's going to be a couple surprises. I won't spoil it.
I like surprises.
Moving up at number 3, we're talking Banger. Slater Nation. We're going to the Slater world there. Brad, man, Banger. Those guys have been, since the first game of the season, they lost. I think they've won about 13, 14 in a row since then, and they're rolling right now.
Well, I think the thing they have to worry about is getting bored. I mean, honestly, the competition in the Colonial League is not going to get them ready for the playoffs. Caddy the other night lost at Southern Lehigh. That was a team that was trying to push Banger, and they lost again to Wilson. So Banger, they need competition. So they're going to need that, and there's a team that's ranked above them that I think is facing the same thing, that has gotten a little bored, gotten a little sloppy, and it's going to set them back unless they can right the ship when they start playing the better teams.
Don't stop talking now, man. You rolling. Just keep going. Go right to that team, Brad. Go right to that team.
It's our former number 1. We have pulled them back a shade. I saw Becca tonight, and they barely got by Freedom. They've had
second time they've had a tough time with Freedom.
The other time was a couple points, and tonight Freedom had it down to 1 in the final 20 seconds. Ended up being a 5-point spread. But Becca had a lot of problems with the Mims guards defending them and pressuring them. If Becca didn't have 2 huge players inside, they lose tonight. And they lost the other night to a team from, I don't remember where it's from, but they were orange and black.
Oh, yes.
Kind of like this shirt.
It's just a shirt. Yeah, that is a nice shirt you have there, Brad. I do like that shirt. I do like that. So we're moving on to the new number 1 team, Tom. All right? The new number 1 team, you can't deny them. They have 3 losses. They've all early in the year, they've been on a hot streak right now. They've taken out Central Catholic. It took out Bethlehem Catholic on back-to-back nights, I believe, Tom. Tell us about Northampton right now.
Well, one of the great things about team sports is that it's not always the most talented team that wins. So at this point, you have to give Coy Stampone and his troops a ton of credit. They have obviously a stud in Aiden Elwood, the Kutztown commit. Corey Weisenberger's had a great year. A lot of other unknown parts, but when you can, as a coach, get your team to play to be greater than the sum of your parts, then you're doing your job A-list, number 1, and that's why the K Kids are number 1. And they backed up a great win on Thursday against Central with an even better win Friday against Becca. So imagine pulling off that double, beating an undefeated Central team Thursday, and then beating a top 5 ranked team in the state on Friday at the buzzer. If you didn't see the play, check it out.
Absolutely awesome play, man. You talk about Coach Stampone. What a fantastic job they've done. And as a coach, you always want to see, you work on things in practice, Brad, and you want to see it executed in the game. This was absolutely perfection at its best, all right? Coach Stampone, you can tell they've been working on this play in practice. They have all the guys in the right position. If you see the play, Coach, hey, Nate, man, the sales boy, run that play for us real quick, all right? Run that play. Here you go. You see the guys flashing it to the sideline. Elwood's flashing it to the middle. Get the ball to Elwood. Nice dime pass there to Weisenberg. Easy 1-2 for the layup there, Brad. Tell us as a coach how that feels to have a play you practice so much executed so perfectly.
I'd be willing to guess that when they practiced it, they didn't run it that well because it was perfect. And what I really liked about it was they got the ball to Elwood in the middle to create.
Right.
Of course, he's going to draw attention. He drew two guys.
Yep.
Dumped to Weisenberg, who I called him the other guy on that team, the other really good player.
Oh, he's better than just another guy,
He's
man.
very good.
He's talented, man. He puts the ball in the basket. Man. So sensational play there from Northampton, and they deserve it, man. You earn your rankings here in the LVBR on the court. We don't want to hear the chit chat. You're talking on social media. This guy ranked you this. You earn your play. You earn your rankings here on the court here at the LVBR.
I was born in Missouri. You know what Missouri is?
The show me state.
Show me state. So show me. So show me. Now,
there it is, baby.
for Coy Stampone and the K Kids, let's hope they haven't peaked too soon. Keep that up. Make a nice little run here. Get yourself into those playoffs, which they're qualified for, and do some damage. So don't be satisfied with those wins.
You have to go back to the Ed Olson years when they moved up to number 2 in the Lehigh Valley. It hasn't happened since. Now they're number 1 in the Lehigh Valley basketball rankings.
All right, so there it is right there. Northampton. It's hard for me to even put it out there. Northampton, the new number 1 team in the area.
And it's a credit to a public school kid who went to Central. His parents are from there. He came back to the public school, and then he leads his team, Northampton, over Central the other night. Interesting story.
Hip, hip, hooray. Kid transfer. Yeah, hip, hip, hooray. Northampton, the new number 1 team. Let's check out these highlights. Jake, the sales boy, let's go.
Always watching.